Have you ever wondered why some people seem to make others uncomfortable just by being themselves? Why certain individuals can walk into a room and instantly shift the energy without saying a single word? Well, if you're an INFJ or know someone who is, you've probably witnessed this phenomenon firsthand. Today, we're diving deep into one of the most misunderstood personality types in the Myers-Briggs system. We're talking about INFJs and why they're often feared in social circles, even when they're just trying to be genuine and authentic. Stick around because what you're about to discover might completely change how you view these rare individuals, and it might even explain some of your own social experiences. 1. The mysterious nature of INFJs. Let's start with the basics. INFJs, also known as the advocates or the counselors, make up only 1 to 3% of the population. That's right, they're rarer than a four-leaf clover in a field of grass. But their rarity isn't what makes people uncomfortable around them. It's their mysterious nature that throws people off balance. You see, INFJs have this incredible ability to see through facades and pretenses. They're like human lie detectors, but not in an obvious way. They won't call you out directly, but they'll give you that knowing look that says, "I see exactly what you're doing." This creates an uncomfortable tension in social situations. Most people are used to surface-level interactions where everyone plays their roles and keeps things light. But INFJs? They're operating on a completely different frequency. They're picking up on the undercurrents, the hidden emotions, and the unspoken truths that everyone else is trying to ignore. 2. The intensity factor that makes people squirm. Here's something that might shock you. INFJs don't do small talk well, and it's not because they can't. It's because they find it mentally exhausting and emotionally draining. When an INFJ engages in conversation, they're not just hearing your words. They're analyzing your tone, your body language, and the emotions behind what you're saying. This intensity can be overwhelming for people who aren't used to being truly seen and understood. Most folks are comfortable with surface-level interactions where they can hide behind social masks. But INFJs have this uncanny ability to see right through those masks, and that makes people feel exposed and vulnerable. Think about it. When was the last time someone really looked at you during a conversation? Not just looked at you, but really saw you? That's what INFJs do naturally, and it can be incredibly unsettling for people who aren't prepared for that level of depth and authenticity. 3. The emotional Xray vision that unnerves others. INFJs possess what many call emotional Xray vision. They can sense when someone's putting on a front, when they're hiding pain, or when they're being dishonest about their feelings. This isn't some supernatural ability, it's a combination of their intuitive nature and their deep understanding of human psychology. But here's the thing, most people don't want to be read so easily. They've spent years perfecting their social personas, building walls around their true selves. When an INFJ comes along and seems to see right through those carefully constructed barriers, it can trigger fear and discomfort. It's like having someone peek into your diary without permission. Even if the INFJ doesn't say anything about what they're sensing, their mere presence can make others feel like their secrets are no longer safe. This creates a defensive response where people either avoid the INFJ or try to challenge them in some way. 4. The uncomfortable truth about authenticity. One of the most feared aspects of INFJs is their commitment to authenticity. In a world where many people are constantly performing and pretending, INFJs stand out like a sore thumb because they refuse to play the game. They won't laugh at jokes they don't find funny just to fit in. They won't agree with opinions they don't share just to avoid conflict. They won't engage in gossip or small talk if it doesn't serve a purpose. This unwavering authenticity can make others feel like they're being judged or found lacking. But here's the twist, INFJs aren't trying to judge anyone. They're simply being themselves. However, their authenticity serves as a mirror that reflects back the inauthenticity of others. When you're standing next to someone who's genuinely being themselves, it becomes glaringly obvious when you're not doing the same. 5. The advisor complex that intimidates. INFJs are natural advisors and counselors. They have this incredible ability to see patterns in human behavior and offer insights that can be both helpful and unsettling. But here's where it gets tricky. They often see solutions to problems that others don't even realize they have yet. This creates a dynamic where INFJs might offer advice or insights that hit way too close to home. They might point out patterns in someone's relationships or behavior that the person has been trying to ignore. While this comes from a place of genuine care and concern, it can feel threatening to people who aren't ready to face these truths. It's like having a friend who always knows exactly what to say to make you feel better, but also knows exactly what to say to make you realize you've been lying to yourself. That level of insight can be both a blessing and a curse in social situations. 6. The energy vampire detector. Here's something that really gets under people's skin. INFJs are excellent at identifying energy vampires and toxic individuals. They can spot manipulation, narcissism, and other harmful behaviors from a mile away. This makes them natural protectors of their social circles, but it also makes them enemies of those who rely on manipulation to get what they want. When an INFJ enters a social group, they're not just observing the surface dynamics. They're analyzing the power structures, the hidden agendas, and the emotional manipulations that might be taking place. This makes them incredibly valuable friends and allies, but it also makes them feared by those who have something to hide. Toxic individuals often feel threatened by INFJs because they know they can't manipulate or control them. INFJs have this internal compass that guides them away from harmful people and situations, and they're not afraid to trust their instincts. 7. The boundary-setting masters. INFJs are masters at setting and maintaining boundaries, and this terrifies people who are used to pushing limits and testing others. Unlike some personality types who might struggle with saying no or standing up for themselves, INFJs have a clear sense of what they will and won't tolerate. They won't engage in drama for the sake of entertainment. They won't participate in activities that go against their values. They won't maintain relationships that are consistently draining or toxic. This unwavering commitment to their boundaries can make others feel like they're being excluded or judged. But here's the reality: INFJs aren't trying to exclude anyone. They're simply protecting their energy and mental health. However, in social circles where boundary pushing is the norm, this can be seen as antisocial or superior behavior. 8. The perfectionist standards that pressure others. INFJs often have high standards for themselves and their relationships. They value depth, authenticity, and meaningful connections over surface-level interactions. This can create pressure in social situations where others feel like they need to match this level of intensity or depth. When an INFJ is in a group, they might unconsciously raise the bar for conversation and interaction. They're not trying to make anyone feel inadequate, but their natural tendency toward meaningful exchange can make small talk feel shallow and pointless. This creates a dynamic where people either feel inspired to go deeper or feel intimidated by the expectation of authenticity. Some people thrive in this environment, while others feel like they're constantly being evaluated or found wanting. 9. The quiet confidence that speaks volumes. There's something about the quiet confidence of an INFJ that can be both attractive and intimidating. They don't need to be the loudest person in the room to command attention. They don't need to dominate conversations to make their presence felt. This subtle power can be unsettling for people who are used to more obvious displays of confidence. INFJs often have this calm, centered energy that suggests they know something others don't. They're comfortable with silence, comfortable with depth, and comfortable with themselves. This can make others feel like they're missing something or not living up to some invisible standard. It's not that INFJs think they're better than anyone else. They just have a different way of moving through the world that can highlight the insecurities and pretenses of others. 10. The empathy overload that overwhelms. While empathy is generally seen as a positive trait, INFJs take it to a level that can be overwhelming for others. They don't just sympathize with your problems, they feel them as if they were their own. This level of emotional connection can be intense and sometimes unwelcome. People aren't always ready for someone to truly understand their pain or struggles. Sometimes they want to vent without being truly heard or understood. INFJs can't help but absorb and process the emotions of others, which can make people feel like they're being psychoanalyzed or pitted. This deep empathy also means that INFJs often know when someone is hurting, even when that person is trying to hide it. They might offer support or ask probing questions that make others feel exposed or vulnerable. 11. The idealistic vision that challenges status quo. INFJs are natural idealists who believe in the potential for positive change in the world. They often see possibilities and solutions that others miss, and they're not afraid to challenge systems or situations that aren't working. This idealistic vision can be threatening to people who are comfortable with mediocrity or who benefit from maintaining the status quo. INFJs often serve as catalysts for change, whether in their personal relationships or in larger social contexts. They might point out injustices that others prefer to ignore, or suggest improvements that require effort and change. This can make them seem like troublemakers or perfectionists, even when they're simply trying to make things better. 12. The loyalty test that filters friendships. INFJs are incredibly loyal friends, but they also expect loyalty in return. They have a natural ability to see who's genuinely committed to the relationship and who's just along for the ride. This creates a filtering effect where only the most authentic and committed people make it into their inner circle. This selective approach to friendship can make others feel like they're being tested or evaluated. People might worry that they're not measuring up to some invisible standard, or they might feel excluded from the INFJ's close-knit group of trusted friends. The reality is that INFJs invest deeply in their relationships, and they need to know that investment is reciprocated. They can't maintain surface-level friendships for long, which means they naturally filter out people who aren't willing or able to go deeper. 13. The future vision that anticipates problems. INFJs have this uncanny ability to see patterns and predict future outcomes based on current behaviors and situations. They might warn friends about potential problems in relationships or point out patterns that could lead to negative consequences. This future-oriented thinking can be both helpful and frightening. On one hand, INFJs can help others avoid mistakes and make better decisions. On the other hand, their predictions can feel like prophecies of doom or unwelcome reality checks. People don't always want to hear about potential problems, especially when they're enjoying the present moment. INFJs might seem like perpetual worriers or pessimists, even when they're trying to be helpful and protective. 14. The independence that threatens codependency. INFJs value their independence and won't sacrifice their identity for the sake of fitting in or maintaining relationships. This can be threatening to people who rely on codependent dynamics or who need constant validation and attention from others. They're comfortable being alone and don't need constant social stimulation to feel fulfilled. This independence can make others feel like they're not needed or valued, especially if they're used to more dependent or needy personality types. INFJs will choose solitude over toxic company, and they won't compromise their values or boundaries to maintain relationships. This can be interpreted as coldness or superiority, even when it's simply self-preservation. Conclusion. So there you have it, the real reasons why INFJs are often feared in social circles. It's not because they're mean or judgmental, but because they represent something that many people find challenging: authenticity, depth, and unwavering commitment to their values. INFJs serve as mirrors in social situations, reflecting back both the best and worst aspects of human nature. They challenge others to be more authentic, more genuine, and more committed to personal growth. For people who are ready for this challenge, INFJs can be incredible friends and allies. For those who aren't, they can feel threatening and uncomfortable. If you're an INFJ watching this, remember that your intensity and authenticity are gifts, not flaws. You don't need to dim your light to make others comfortable. The right people will appreciate your depth and genuineness, while those who can't handle it probably weren't meant to be in your inner circle anyway. And if you're not an INFJ but you know one, try to appreciate the unique perspective they bring to your life. They're not trying to make you uncomfortable or judge you, they're simply being themselves in a world that often rewards superficiality over substance. The fear that INFJs inspire in social circles says more about our collective discomfort with authenticity than it does about them. In a world that desperately needs more genuine connection and honest communication, maybe we could all learn something from these rare and misunderstood individuals. What do you think? Have you experienced these dynamics in your own social circles? Let me know in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights into personality types and human behavior.